Yes, we're good to go now.
Right, thanks, Olawumi. Perfect. So just a quick reminder for everyone, as always, the meeting is being broadcast live. So if you just want to keep your cameras on and microphones off when you're not talking, it will be recorded and stored online as well. So calling today's meeting to order on Thursday, 20th November at 4:33. Just like to kick things off with the land acknowledgement. So the Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognises that we are all treaty people. So just a quick roll call, kick things off. Councillor John Young. Don't think we have Councillor. Adelaide Beckham.
Yep, here.
Thank you. Holly Woodall.
Here.
Thanks, Holly. Alexi Katsanis.
Here, and you got the name right.
Thank you. Elizabeth Pugh.
Here.
Thank you. Peter Zimmer.
Here.
Great, thanks, Peter. I think Maggie Hope Simpson sent her regrets. So Maggie. Roseanne LeBlanc.
Here. Hello, everyone.
Thank you. Glenn Babcock. I don't think we've got Glenn today. Stephanie Johnson-Lorette.
Here.
Thank you. So, and Vice Chair Milena. I see you join.
Present here, sir.
Thanks, Milena. Thank you. All right. There's quite a lot on the docket for tonight, so I'm going to try and move through everything else really, really quickly. And then we
Sorry,
can get
Chair,
straight.
just interrupt you. I think we just had Councillor Young join in.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Great. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for joining.
Yeah.
All right. So moving straight into the approval of minutes. So were there any errors, omissions, adjustments to our minutes from last meeting that anyone would like to raise?
Milena speaking. I'm not sure, but the draft minutes state they're from September till October. Is that what we should have had? Because at the end of the drafts, it says next meeting October 16, but we're in November.
Yes. Okay. Yep. I guess that didn't catch the change of the meeting. So Olawumi, would we be able to just adjust the date?
Draft minutes, yes, that was the last time, but we did not have October meeting. If you notice, it was cancelled.
Yeah. Do we need to update the minutes from September to reflect that our next meeting is November 20, not in October?
No, the last minute supposed to have October minute, which was cancelled. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That makes
about
sense.
that.
All right, great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, October meeting supposed to hold, but due to light agenda, it was cancelled.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you. All right. Unless there was anything else, could I call for a motion to approve the minutes so that the minutes of our meeting 18th September 2025 be approved as circulated?
I'll approve them. Oh.
So,
Take
wholly
your pick.
called motion and a second.
I'll second. It's Roseanne.
Thank you. Perfect. So all those in favour say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Great. Motion carries. Moving on to the order of business and approval of additions, deletions. So Olawumi, were there any additions or deletions from the clerk's office?
No additions or deletions received from the clerk's office.
Perfect. Are there any items that anyone else would like to add onto tonight's agenda? No? Great. A call for a motion that the agenda is approved.
Milena moves.
A second.
I'll second. Alexi.
Thank you. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Great. Motion carries. So we have no business arising out of the minutes. Are there any declarations or conflicts of interest that committee members would like to raise for tonight? No. We're all clear there. There are no considerations of deferred business. Correspondence. So Olawumi, did the clerk's office receive any correspondence or petitions?
No correspondence or petitions received from the clerk's office.
Great, thank you. All right, and we have no information items brought forward. So that brings us to section 9, reports discussions. So we have several staff updates tonight. For the interest of time, ordinarily we would give everyone 5 minutes for questions after a presentation and then a second round of 3 minutes. We'll still do the first round of 5 minutes, but if you have a second set of questions or comments, if you just raise your hand and we'll just do it ad hoc from there, just to keep things moving along. So to get things started, I'd like to invite Brittany McLean, so the project manager for Shared Micromobility, who will be giving us an update on the micromobility pilot project.
Thanks, Nathan. I'm just waiting for Olawumi to update me so I can share my screen.
Perfect.
Please
And
go
then
ahead. I've done that.
Good. There we go. Okay, and what I will do is I'll get someone to verbally let me know if you can see the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Make sure it's the right page. All right. Are you seeing the notes or are you seeing just the full
Nope,
PowerPoint?
it looks good.
Just
All
the
right,
slides,
good to
yeah.
go. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can no longer see anyone, so this is perfect. Okay. All right, so thanks for having me. Like Nathan said, my name is Brittany McLean. I'm the project manager for Shared Micromobility. Very happy to be attending Active Transportation Advisory Committee tonight. I'm going to be sharing an update for the Shared Micromobility, that's shared e-scooters and e-bike pilot project that launched in May. And then after, I'm happy to answer any questions. And then I've got my pen and my notepad here. And so I'm happy to also listen to any concerns you have or any questions and note that all down. So I figured I would start just with a bit of background. In 2023, Council approved this 2-year shared micromobility pilot project. So the format that Council approved was that HRM would oversee a privately owned shared micromobility operator through a legal agreement. The recommendation for the pilot project was based on a readiness study that was done and published in 2021. And then also to note as well, in 2023, at the same time, Council approved the 2-year shared micromobility pilot project. They approved a new bylaw, M300, which is the shared micromobility bylaw. And that was approved to enable e-scooter use, in the municipality to enable micromobility share and kind of establish rules of the road. So the readiness study itself produced equity and demand model heat mapping. So the data inputs for this mapping were based on residential density, employment density, transit, education, play, shop, and then the Canadian Index of Multiple Deprivation. This is an index which measures residential instability, situational vulnerability, economic dependency, and ethno-cultural composition. Additionally, the study looked at areas with high populations of African Nova Scotians. So from that study, the recommendation was that communities that are facing high levels of deprivation should and need to be included in plans to provide a high density of shared micromobility vehicles and parking facilities. So the next slide here is the final demand model map. So the map illustrates the following. I'll just kind of walk you through the sections here. So it notified us that Clayton Park has a medium-high demand and equity concerns. The north end of Halifax had high demand and high equity concerns. The area of Spryfield had medium demand and high equity concerns. Downtown Halifax has highest level of demand. Woodlawn and Southdale over in Dartmouth have some demand and equity concerns. Westfall and Woodlawn, both in Dartmouth, again, have medium demand and equity concerns. North Dartmouth has medium high demand, and high equity concerns. Downtown Dartmouth, similar to downtown Halifax, has high demand. And then North and East Preston were identified to have higher equity concerns, but lower demand. So this readiness study also calculated and gave a recommendation for how many bikes should properly service the area. And that was based on the Institute for Transportation and Development Policy Bike Share Planning Guide. That's kind of a mouthful. ITDP is the acronym. Basically, their recommendation was that a system with around 1,500 bikes would be adequate. I wanted to add a note in here. It's also a note that was in the report that at the time that the readiness study was being conducted, the province hadn't yet released the new regulations under the Traffic Safety Act that enabled and regulated e-scooters. So this is why the system there, the recommendation refers to bikes only. So as most of you know, the municipality went through a request for proposal process, and after that, the 2-year pilot was awarded to the highest scoring proponent of that RFP, which is Bird Canada. So those are the bikes and scooters that you see out there. The service area and flex fare zones were based on the readiness study. I'll get into flex fare zone pricing shortly, but the pilot was designed to launch in phases. So the first phase launched on May 15th of this year with 300 e-bikes and 300 e-scooters. They were all shipped into Halifax, and so initially I think there were concerns around there being more e-scooters out than e-bikes. It was just shipping logistics, and eventually all of the e-bikes did come in and were launched out as well over like the first few weeks after the launch. So the second phase launched in September. Within that second phase, 300 more e-scooters were added to the system. And then the area expanded. I'm going to take you through a few maps in a moment. I'll describe what I'm showing in the maps as well. But I just wanted to walk through the phased expansion and what criteria it was based on. So in our agreement with Bird Canada, and what the municipality is looking at is a minimum of 2+ rides per device per day over a 2-month period. That was achieved with the e-scooters. We are now, at the time, we were not quite there with the bikes. So that's why you see 600 e-scooters and the bike fleet not increasing at that point in time. It was also based on fewer than 0.1 public complaints per device over a monthly period. That was achieved. Strong performance on equity goals. So we're looking at device deployment within flex fare zones. I'm going to share some information on that shortly as well. Same thing, that goal was achieved. And then a minimum of 2 safety community events per month. Again, I'll share some more information on that. So the next few slides are a series of maps, but I'm just going to explain what you're looking at in the maps. So like I said, phase 1 launched with 300 e-scooters and 300 e-bikes. The service area included Peninsular Halifax, Fairview, Spryfield, and areas of Clayton Park. So on the Dartmouth side of the harbor, it included Dartmouth inside the circumferential, and then a little bit past into Woodside, and then out into Woodlawn. So the second map here identifies the service area for phase 2. That was again launched in September. 300 more e-scooters were introduced here, and the service area expanded into Bedford up to Mill Cove, into Clayton Park West, into Bayers Lake, and then over on the Dartmouth side, it expanded into Burnside, Montebello, Keystone, Port Wallace area, up into Cherrybrook, and out into Cole Harbour as well. So this third map here is the flex zone map area, and I'll just identify what the map is showing here. So we have a series of flex zones. One is in North End Halifax, one is in Clayton Park, one is in Spryfield, One is in North Dartmouth, one is in Westfall and Woodlawn, and one is in Woodside and Southdale. And so these flex zones are modeled off of the readiness study that was conducted prior to the launch of the pilot program. So the municipality partnered with United Way and Bird Canada, and this was on a more equitable micromobility initiative. So it includes flex fare zones, which you see in the yellow there, are the areas that I just mentioned, and also a community pricing program. And this was to reduce barriers to access so that more people can use e-bike and e-scooter share. So for the pricing programs, a little bit more information. The flex fare zones are zones within the service area where fares are automatically discounted 50% for rides that begin in those zones. Again, those were the zones that I just mentioned on the previous map. The community pricing program is a separate program. Flex fare zones, there's no registration required. It just automatically happens. Community pricing program does involve registration. So enrolled users are offered a 50% discount on all rides within the service area, and that includes outside of the flex fare zone area. So United Way is partnering with Bird. If you're familiar with United Way, they work with a series of community hubs all throughout the municipality. And so those consist of like local community centers, and they have sat down with staff there to train them. So if someone is interested in doing this program, there's all of the information is on the halifax.ca website. I can share that after. But the website's there, has information for how to fill out the form. But if you'd like further support, you can also go to any of the community hubs that United Way partners with, and someone is trained to sit down on a computer and help you go through that process so that you are registered. So I apologize for not coming to the last active transportation meeting. I was waiting on some of the statistics, but now I do have some statistics to share with you. So from May 15th to October 31st, we had 34 enrollments in that community pricing program that I just mentioned. And then we were able to gather some of the information on how many rides were starting within those flex zones. So in the Clayton Park flex zone, we had 621 ride starts. In Spryfield, we had 578. Westfall and Woodlawn, we had 720. Woodside and Southdale, we had 1,565. In North Dartmouth, we had 2,240. And then in North End Halifax, we had 16,892. So all of those ride starts would have been discounted by 50%. So overall ridership from May 15th, 2025, that was the launch date of the pilot, until I have numbers up until November 5th. The total number of rides was 118,246. So 13,840 of those were on e-bikes and 104,406 were on e-scooters. I'm getting a tickle, so hopefully that does not turn into a cough. Next up, I just wanted to share some ridership trends. So on the slide here, I have a series of graphs, but I'm just gonna give notes on what the graphs are saying. So the key findings that we found were that Saturdays were showing the highest ridership numbers, and that was followed by Friday. For vehicle type preferences, e-scooters account for 87% and e-bikes account for 13%. If you're interested in data on the peak hours, e-scooters are peaking at 4:00 p.m. That's when we see the highest ridership. E-bikes are peaking at 5:00 p.m. So both types of devices are showing clear commuter patterns from what we can see from the data that's coming in. There's a bit of a morning peak, and then there's also an evening peak as well. So next slide here, I have some more ridership trends. This is showing that the top neighborhoods for ridership of e-scooters are Halifax Peninsula. That's followed by Dartmouth. So that would be the kind of downtown within Circumferential. And then Cole Harbour. And this is true for both e-scooters and for e-bikes. Okay. So the next slide here is again showing a few graphs. Oh, let me go back. Halifax is by far the most popular area, which accounts for 90% of all rides. The majority of users using the devices are occasional riders with about 1 to 4 rides each. There is a smaller group, though, that has frequent uses with over 20 rides. So I'm just going to go over some of the complaints and feedback that we're getting. Complaints are coming in through 3 main channels. So the first one is Bird Canada. They have like a 311 line, both an email and a telephone line that users can call. They come in through HRM's own 311 line, and then often they come in through direct staff emails as well. So the way the pilot program was created or formed was that it places responsibility on the private operator, which is Bird Canada, to manage and respond to complaints. So this is because Bird Canada has dedicated staff. They have technology to track the issues, such as improperly parked devices, and then resolve them within a set time frame. So all of that complaint data is and their response time are recorded, and then they're shared frequently with the municipality. Bird is required to address emergency obstructions. So that's, for example, a device that's blocking building access or blocking a fire lane within 30 minutes of becoming aware, and within 60 minutes for non-emergency. So examples of those are like a blocked transit area, trail, pedestrian throughway, unless it's considered an emergency. And so from what I'm going to do is I'm breaking this out into 3 different sections, kind of 2 months each based on the first 6 months of the program. So from May 15th to June 30th, we had, this is Bird's data, has tracked 28 complaints of device movement request or improperly parked devices. First response time here, 6 minutes. So the first response time is when the call comes in. Bird Canada staff are tracking it, logging it in the system, transferring it over to the staff who are working and driving around or scootering around to resolve the issue. And then from there, they log their full resolution time. So that clocks in at 32 minutes for that type of complaint. Nest removal, this is, when I'm saying nest here, I'm referring to the parking area. So at times we get calls to remove a parking area, either it's conflicting with something, or someone would like it further down the street, etc. 4 of those came in during May 15th to June 30th. The first response time for Bird was 8 minutes, and then it was fully resolved at an average of 38 minutes. We also got 1 slow speed zone request. First response time was 8 minutes. Full resolution time was 7 minutes. So this is fairly quick because what a slow speed zone is Bird can apply kind of geographically an area where the devices will automatically start slowing down, once you hit maybe a multi-use path in an area. And so what this call would have been is a request from someone to say, hey, this should be a slow speed area. And so that's why it only takes 7 minutes, because they just go in online, program it in, and then automatically the devices will slow. The peak time here for complaints was 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and the peak day for complaints was Monday. The next 2-month block, so from July 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2025, there were 16 device movement requests. First response time, 9 minutes. Full resolution time, 42 minutes. 2 nest removal complaints. First response time, 12 minutes, and full resolution time, 45 minutes. And there were 0 slow speed zone request complaints. I do want to note, though, that in this time period, there was also, from May 1st to August 31st, so the first 4 months, Bird also had 4 instances of sidewalk riding complaints and 2 injuries reported. So the peak time for complaints during this 2-month period, again, is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And similar to the first 2 months, the peak day for complaints was Monday. So the third section here, so from September 1st to October 31st, we had 14 device movement, improperly parked device complaints. First response time was 7 minutes. Full resolution time was 46 minutes. 5 nest removal complaints. First response time 11 minutes and full resolution time 51 minutes. 0 slow speed zone requests here. Again, similar to all 3, the peak time for complaints was 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and the peak day for complaints was Monday. So I also want to share that We also receive complaints through, as I mentioned, HRM 311. So during that time period for the first 6 months, HRM received 65 service requests, and that was from May 15th to October 31st, 2025. Topics of those included complaints of improperly parked vehicles, complaints of sidewalk riding, and then general questions about the system. Additionally, municipal staff received approximately 61 inquiries via email with complaints and/or feedback from, some of these came from municipal staff, members of council, members of the public, and we also had 2 pieces of correspondence forwarded from the clerk's office. So many of these service requests or complaints that came in through 311 or through staff email were forwarded on to Bird Canada to address and track, so they may be duplicated. I have some information here. So staff emails that came from other municipal staff often came from transit with requests to remove devices from blocked transit stops. They came from construction staff to make sure that the devices were removed during any kind of temporary construction, road construction, or building construction. Geographically, Spring Garden Road stands out as the primary hotspot for complaints. Other areas included kind of scattered locations across Peninsula, Halifax, and Dartmouth. Complaint volumes regarding Spring Garden Road were highest in May and June. So as part of that, staff in Bird Canada consulted with the Spring Garden Road Business Commission to install pavement tape. So if you've seen that in the area, that was placed in designated parking locations to help prevent incorrectly parked devices. Bird also increased monitoring of the area. So we have seen that complaints have decreased, but we're additionally looking at some on-street alternatives in this area to help relieve parking that's close to sidewalks. So hopefully we'll have more solutions for that in 2026. As a note, Bird Canada has been responsive to the municipality, has been very flexible in moving parked locations or moving devices and responding to weather events. Right now, the municipality is working on reviewing data and focusing on improvements with Bird Canada for the next year of the pilot program. One thing I wanted to note is that the municipality appreciates all of the public feedback that's coming in because it's, you know, a major thing that's helping inform the process. Okay, so I have some images here. I will explain what's in the images. I just want to share that on-street parking corrals are being installed, and then we've also been using existing bump out areas across the municipality for shared micromobility parking. And so this has helped to shift parking away from areas that are adjacent to sidewalks. So we had 2 corrals that we introduced during the first season of the pilot. We will have more added next year. The corrals are seasonal, so you might have noticed, I think it was yesterday or the day before, the corrals have actually been removed for the winter months. This approach, we're hoping, aims to reduce instances of devices blocking pedestrian pathways and improving overall accessibility. So Bird Canada has also been installing pavement tape in many designated parking areas that are located kind of within the furniture zone that adjacent to sidewalks. So, you know, the aim here is that placing pavement tape provides, you know, a clear visual boundary that helps guide riders to park devices in an organized manner. We're hoping that, you know, is reducing sidewalk clutter and improving pedestrian safety. Pavement tape is pretty quick to install. It's adaptable to different surfaces and can be repositioned as we look at all the demand patterns and as those are changing. So it's kind of an ideal treatment for pilot programs. The images that you're seeing on the screen, the first one to the left here is a photo near the Hydrostone neighborhood, and it's an existing bump out that we have used for shared micromobility parking. This area, the bump out has the concrete block and then the flex posts installed. The middle and third photo are pictures along Lower Water Street, and those are examples of the tactile pavement tape that Bird has been laying down. Next slide here is another 3 images. The first 2 images you're seeing are corrals that have been installed on Preston Street and a corral that's been installed on Grafton Street. These are in on street, similar to the corrals that you see for personally owned devices as well. They consist of flex posts. There will be lines painted in these corrals for next season. The last picture here is a existing bump out with the flex posts installed outside of the YMCA on the South Park Street area. So since the launch of the pilot, we've kind of gained insights into where the demand is for shared micromobility and where that's highest. We've adjusted many parking spaces to help better align with, rider behavior and community needs. But with this, we're now kind of exploring infrastructure solutions, including physical docks and enhanced signage. We're aiming that these will be strategies to improve, also the shared micromobility parking compliance, but also user experience as well. So those types of things will be rolling out next year. So physical docks, similar to, they most likely will not be charging ones, but we are looking at physical docks. That's, those help provide clear structured space for devices, and they help reduce sidewalk clutter. We're hoping that those ensure like a predictable placement for people when they're parking. And then the signage that we're looking at, aims to reinforces designated parking areas and educating riders on proper use and how to properly park. So the municipality has also been releasing social media campaigns to highlight safety information for shared micromobility users. So messaging with that includes info on helmet requirements, obeying the posted speed limits, avoiding sidewalk riding, and parking only in designated zones. We will continue to release information like this. The municipality and Bird Canada have also been hosting educational events and attending, already planned community events to share messaging. So we've given presentations at Dalhousie University a number of times. We've attended events at NSCC, have been speaking with other universities as well. Bird Canada staff have also been attending community events that include Switch Open Streets, events at the Canada Game Centre. They've been down on the Halifax waterfront at times, and Dalhousie Homecoming as well. So the goal here is really to get more education out so that people understand where they should and should not be parking. We are also looking and collaborating with Nova Scotia Health right now to potentially host safety promotion events in high schools next year. Minimum age for riding is 16 with parental consent. At 18, you don't need parental consent. So we are hoping that the more education that is put out there, that the higher compliance rates for parking. So I just want to go over quickly how we are looking to evaluate the pilot. So in the short term, we're evaluating parking areas. We're evaluating different types of infrastructure treatments. We're looking at no ride zones and slow ride zones, and we're adjusting all of those as necessary. We also monitor Bird Canada. We have a set of service standards with them that includes those response times that I mentioned earlier to moving improperly parked devices. I've scrolled too quickly here. For the long term, we'll be evaluating the pilot data against the shared micromobility vision goals and principles, and those include ridership, accessibility, availability, integration with transit and existing active transportation infrastructure, and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So the municipality will also have data, mobility data from Bird Canada, and that will help us inform infrastructure upgrades. It'll help supplement data for active transportation recommendations in the future. So in the past 6 months, we can see the demand for shared micromobility with the numbers rolling in. Over the next few months, we'll be diving deeper into that data to understand and implement improvements going forward. So right now, I just want to thank everyone for your time. Let me know again if you have any questions. I'm also happy to listen and record any feedback that you're willing to share. And that is the website there, halifax.ca, shared micromobility. If you want to take a look, there's quite a bit more information there.
All right. Thank you, Brittany. That was a ton of information. So thanks for getting through all that and sharing that all with us. It's great to see the usership numbers and all the data. So we'll move straight into the question times. Like I mentioned, we'll do one round of 5 minute, maximum 5 minutes. And then in the second round, if you just throw your hand up, we'll give you the floor for a few minutes. So going through the roll to start, Councillor John Young, do you have any questions?
Thanks, Nathan. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I got a few. So does Bird Canada have a complaint portal right on their website? That's number one. Number two, is there an updated demographic data? Is there update? Yeah, is that constantly updated? I want to find out about the liabilities. If there's an accident, if somebody on the scooters or the bikes hit somebody in a crosswalk or on the sidewalk, who's liable for that? And I'll just do one more. So what does this cost in the HRM as a whole? There's 4 there.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Young. So the first one for websites, so there are a number of ways that you can log complaints. There's an email address, there's a phone number. You can do it through social media as well. All of the information is right on the devices. So every device has written in Braille and I believe in English and French. And it has all of the information that you need to contact them. You can also do it through their app. So you can jump on the app at any time and write that out. I don't know if there is a website where you can send it, but you can certainly go to the HRM website and all of the contact information is on that as well. For the second,
Brittany, before you
Yep.
leave that, so not just the users, I'm talking about if it's the public wanting a complaint of what they witnessed
yeah, that
from
information's
the users.
sure, yeah. So, I mean, if you're not, you can, if you're using the system, then you would have the app. But you can also, like a member of public, you can just go up to a device and grab the number. But you can go on the Bird Canada website, and you won't be able to log it there. But all of the information for how to contact Bird is on the website, and it's also on our municipal website as well. Yeah. We also have, we are taking calls in through 311. We recommend that you call Bird Canada directly because that's how they can action it very quickly. And oftentimes when it comes into 311, it's forwarded. They, the dispatchers there are like, okay, here's the number for Bird, give them a call and they will action it right away. But in the event that, the member of public doesn't have access to the internet, they can call 311. 311 will make sure that they have information to contact Bird.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So to answer your other questions regarding demographic data, Bird is doing a user survey. It was conducted, I think, for the last 3 weeks. I know it popped up on my app recently. That is collecting demographic data. They'll share that with the municipality once they have that all wrapped up and done. And I'm happy to present that information both to council and back at Active Transportation Act when the committee, when it comes in. For liabilities, so Bird Canada has liability insurance. There is an agreement with the municipality and Bird. They are responsible for having insurance. They submitted that during the agreement process. And then the pilot itself is actually revenue generating for the municipality. So at this point, it is costing staff salary, but that's the extent of it. And then we are also collecting fees from Bird Canada as part of the pilot as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor. Addie Burkham.
Hello. Thanks for the presentation. It's really cool to see the data laid out like that. My question is there data around specific days that have been more active? I'm speaking of for Nocturne, I know there was a discount for ridership, or maybe specific like concerts or if there's any large events that are happening. I'm just wondering if there's any data around that, if you've seen a ridership spike. And if so, you know, like I mentioned during Nocturne when there was a discount, if that's something that would be offered again for other events, like I can't think of an example, maybe like yeah, for Dal Homecoming or hockey games, you know, Moosehead games, stuff like that, just to kind of, I know traffic gets really bad and it might be a nice way to encourage people to, you know, consider other options during those large events. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Addie. So we can pull, the nice thing about this partnership is we get lots of data. I don't have the numbers right in front of me for you right now. It is something I can include in future reports, though, if that's something that the committee or council is interested as well. From the kind of general data, we can tell Saturdays are the highest use. Friday is like the second highest use. I'm sure, you know, there probably is correlations between big discount days. I can't confirm right now, but I can definitely look at that. And then I do, you know, I've got it written down here so that I can go speak to Bird and you know, share that feedback with them about having discounts for certain events. I know they do try to, when they know of a big community event that's happening, sometimes staff let them know, hey, there's, you know, this is going on at this point in time. They do look at areas to help. I know sometimes during big events too, they'll make sure there's lots of devices around the area so that users can hop on one of those to get home from their destination. But yeah, thanks for the feedback. I will certainly bring that up with Bird.
Great, thank you. I also would just like to share two small anecdotes if I have enough time. The first one is that outside my apartment building, there was a nest, I guess it's what it's called, like of the bikes and scooters there, and it was blocking, you know, sometimes people wouldn't park properly, so it would block the sidewalk. And it was reported, and in like 2 days, it was moved across the street where the sidewalk is much bigger, and there's been no problem since then. So that is really great that it was so fast. And then another is just I personally have been really enjoying these at night when the bus service is much slower or delayed, you know, if the bus is delayed or past midnight when the bus stops running. I've already used this service like multiple times rather than paying for a $20 Uber. It's like a $6 Bird bike. So anyway, just sharing those personal anecdotes because I really appreciate this service. Yeah.
Great, thanks to hear.
Thanks, Addie. Up next, we have Holly. Any questions or comments?
No, not at this time. There's a lot of information there. Thank you.
Thanks, Holly. Stephanie?
Thank you. And thanks, Brittany. That was great to see all of the information packed together there and some of the stats as well. I have two quick questions for you. The first is that I'm just kind of curious to hear a little bit about how the program is working in some of the communities that you mentioned, but they're not necessarily, they're kind of on the periphery, I guess, of the locations that you were mapping out for us there before. I'm thinking of the sort of the Preston townships in particular. You did mention that Cherrybrook was now part of the area that's being covered, but yeah, I'm just a little curious about what's happening now in the Preston communities, or what will be happening maybe.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. So like you mentioned, it was in the readiness study. That was an area that was notified as a high equity concern with like a bit of demand in the area. So where the project's phased, we are hopefully going to be launching into a third phase at some point. And within that, we're looking at servicing, I believe, both East and North Preston. Yeah, so with that, I can't give a specific date. Again, there's like criteria that we need to meet with that. But it is definitely something we're looking at, is having service in those areas.
Awesome. And I guess I had one other quick question, and that is, now that you're entering into this sort of third phase at the moment, is there a opportunity to be able to acquire some newer models? I don't know if this is correct or not, but did we get sort of seconds, I guess, of some of the bikes that were used at first? So it might be great to find out a little bit about when any newer models might be coming in.
Yeah, so initially it launched with kind of an older model e-scooter, and then I don't know if you noticed there's like bright orange ones that were entered into the system. That is a newer model. It has a little bit more technology built into it. As far as the bikes go, I know Bird does have another model of bike that is like a little bit shorter. It's a little bit more of like a, how do I describe it? Kind of like a European commuter bike. We would love to see that here. Not sure, like we are having conversations around that. I'm not sure, if or when, at what point it would be included into the system, but they're definitely conversations that we're looking at having. And I do know that Bird is constantly, looking at different innovations in their technology and upgrading and different models, but kind of like a TBD on that, but there might be options out there.
Super. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Stephanie. Elizabeth, any questions?
Yeah, I sure do. I could talk about this for hours. Just before my 5 minutes starts, I just wanted to add on to Addie's comment. Saturday, we have the Olympic trials here starting at the Metro Center. And I know volunteers can ride transit for free during that week. And I just thought it's probably a little bit too late to do anything about it now, but to be able to park further away from the Metro Center and get into town that way rather than having to deal with all the downtown traffic, because it's all day long. It's games at 9, 2, and 7. I think there'll be a lot of people heading to the Metro Center for that. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there in terms of events. I hadn't thought of that before. I'm curious what's happening for winter. I noticed, at least in the photos that you showed, most of your nests were on the streets. And I was lucky enough to go on a tour through Montreal on the Bixi bike system just a few weeks ago. And I know one of the things that they said they were doing is they're actually moving all their, there's a permanent docks, but they're moving them all off the street and onto off-street things in order to make winter clearing easier. So I'm just curious what's happening with that. And I have a second question. Do you want to deal with the first one, or shall I ask them both?
List them all. I'm writing them down here, and then I'll do them all at once.
The second one, I guess, is related to cost and how that is going. Are people happy with the costs, or are they finding it expensive? Again, one thing which I didn't realize at all with the Bixi system, which struck me as really wonderful, is you can buy a membership. It's like $26 a month, I think, into the Bixi system, and that gives you unlimited 45-minute rides. Which means it would be really encouraging for someone who just needs to go to a meeting that's 3 blocks away to grab a bike and take it and drop it. And what it means for them is if you have to go more than 45 minutes, you basically park your bike and take it out again, or you grab a different one. Like, you can certainly ride the whole system for that within that for without having to pay any extra. But if you don't drop it off and you continue past the 45, that's when you start racking up these per minute charges. And it just struck me as people might be far more interested in just grabbing one for shorter commute rather than taking the time, because I understand ours take a while to get in, logged on, take a picture, and all this sort of thing that you need to do to show that you parked it properly and it's got your helmet and that sort of stuff. So I'm just curious how your costing model works, and if something comparable to that is being considered.
Great, thanks, Elizabeth. Before I forget, I had a note in here to share when I was sharing statistics, but this might be of interest to everyone too. And Elizabeth mentioned like ride durations, how long people are taking their rides for. I do have that statistic. So for your interest, ride durations are averaging between 15 and 16 minutes a ride. So that's how long people are out taking their rides. E-bikes are covering longer distances. So on average, they're covering 3 to 4 kilometers a ride, where e-scooters are covering anywhere from 2 to 2.5 kilometers a ride. Anyway, just thought I'd share that stat with you. So for the Olympic trials, I will let Bird know that. when I'm going to Google that after this meeting and look into it a little bit more. Maybe they're already aware of it, but if not, I'll let them know. For winter operations, this is something we're currently undergoing conversations on. So as of right now, the scooters will not be available during winter. And that was a decision that was kind of made earlier on. So at what point they'll be pulled off, I'm not quite sure. I don't have an exact date. For bikes, it may be the same thing. Where this is a pilot project right now, we're kind of having ongoing conversations about what a winter, like you said, Bixie, you know, it has to take things off the street. I do know that the on-street parking, we've just removed those for winter snow clearing, and the existing kind of bump out areas those are claimed for snow storage, like, you know, so we won't be able to use those areas for shared micromobility either during the winter months. So these are all things we're looking at, considerations. I don't have an answer right now. When we do have an answer, we'll post something publicly to let users know, like, hey, you know, this is whatever might be happening for winter service. But you're right, there are some considerations to take in place there. And it's interesting. I'm always looking at like different jurisdictions, you know, in Montreal and Toronto, and how other people are dealing with winter operations. And it's all a little bit different. But where it's a pilot, it's a great time to explore, like, you know, whether we're going to have winter service for the first year or not. Again, we have the second year of the pilot. So I wish I had more information, but it is something we're definitely looking into, because there are, you know, lots of things that need to factor into those decisions. The last thing you brought up was cost. So during the RFP, costing was part of the process. So Bird Canada was scored on costing. I know we've had it from, you know, the complaints and calls that have come in. I know that a couple of them have mentioned, like, hey, you know, we're looking at something more affordable. We do have the two programs. So the flex fare zones, which drop the cost in certain areas when you start your ride. We also have the community pricing program as well. But aside from that, I just noticed, I'm just opening up my app here on my phone. Bird has been looking, like, there are quite a few different, like there's a 30-minute day pass, there's 60-minute passes, and I just noticed it's popping up on my app that there's a Black Friday special. So they've been incorporating, and I noticed a few weeks ago as well in conversation with them, that they're incorporating these, like, you know, it's a so much dollar pass a month, and then you have unlimited. Right now it's saying $5 pass, unlimited $4 rides. That seems like a Black Friday special. I don't know the details of it, but maybe check your app, see if that's popping up as well. So they are looking at different pricing options that way. I know we've had a lot of comments like, oh, you know, I've used the Bixie system or Bike Share Toronto, and the prices are a little bit cheaper. From what I've researched, those systems are owned and run by the municipality or by like a.
Sorry,
I know
Brittany,
Toronto. Sorry,
just
yeah,
just
go ahead.
coming up to 5 minutes for the section.
Okay,
So there's about
sure.
30 seconds left. Yeah.
Sure. I'll just confirm. Those are owned and run by municipalities, where the way that the bike share, the shared micromobility pilot here is the municipalities overseeing a private company. So I think that's maybe where people are seeing variations in pricings, is that municipalities maybe have invested, or, you know, they're receiving funding from other levels of government. I'm not sure. But I think that's from my research that I've seen around pricing. I'll keep it shorter. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Elizabeth, you have time afterwards if you got more questions too. Peter?
Hi, Britton. Thank you for a really wonderful report. You and the questions that have come in have answered several of the things that I had noted on the seasonal use. I guess my observation is I haven't yet used any of the Bird vehicles because I've got my own e-bike. So it tends to slew my appearance. I have noticed some areas where there is obviously a nest is approved, but they're not very clearly marked, in some areas. And I'm really wondering about the absence of kind of upright signs that bypassers could read about the service. That would identify that, yes, here is a nest here, even when there aren't any bikes parked there, and also tell people who are not yet riders about this, giving them whether it's a QR code or a link to a website, simply marketing to all the people who aren't coming there to ride a bike immediately.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. So I think we had this conversation a little while ago too. When we were starting out, we're testing, piloting out areas. So we didn't want to paint the ground quite yet because we pop a station down, maybe then there's some issues. We get a call come in from a member of the public, then we have to pick it up, relocate it. I feel like after the first 6 months, we have a better idea. We've got tons of data coming in. We're knowing what areas are working. We've adjusted a bunch of parking spaces. We know, oh, this one's working great. So that is something definitely we are looking at for next spring. So like you said, we're looking at signs that have information for the rider, like how to use it. QR code is a great note. I will make sure I recommend that to Bird as well. Information on contacting Bird. So anyway, it is something we're definitely looking at for the spring, where we install them. Like maybe it's installed in areas that we're noticing we're getting more complaints in, so that education is available in that area. We also I know I've discussed with Bird, like a hang tag that could be located on the devices too, like a kind of a strung on the devices with similar information. But signage, like actual post and sign signage, is definitely something we're considering for next year.
And I know those can be mobile. I mean, I'm a member of CarShare as well, and they do have some signs that take some serious moving to move, but they are just sitting on the pavement. So heavier than a bike, but less than requiring a loader or device to handle it. So anyway, I wish you well. I hope at some point that more of your data set becomes kind of a public dashboard that we can all, see that. I'm really concerned of the development of the transit to scooter, transit to e-bike be fostered, that the bus stops should have parking zones for the scooters and for private scooters as well. I mean, the kind of question is, we've got a lot of people riding scooters around the city who are not riding Bird scooters. And I think they need to be addressed, and they maybe should be addressed by ATAC specifically, but figuring out how does this all work together. The scooters are great first mile, last mile kind of transportation, or last kilometer. Right? So yes, we want to make sure that transit grows up to figure out that people riding scooters are their customers, and find a way to hang it together and make it easier on both sides. So I'll stop there.
Thanks, Peter. Nathan, do you mind if I just give a quick response to that?
Yeah,
good.
Go for it.
Okay, I just wanted to update that we are working on a public dashboard. So similar to the active transportation dashboard that where you can see the counter information, we're working on doing basically copy paste the exact sort of thing, but with all of the shared micromobility data. I don't have a launch date for when that's going to happen. Again, we will share it publicly once we do. I know I've had emails with a lot of interest in the data that's coming out of it. So anyway, just wanted to note that as well. And then thanks, I've written down your comment about, first mile, first kilometer, last kilometer, incorporation with transit. It's something we're definitely looking at. When Bird and the municipality look at new parking areas, transit stops are a map layer that we look at to incorporate, having spots that encourage that last mile, first mile connection. So it's something we're definitely looking at. So thanks for those comments.
Thank you. Next up, Roseanne.
Thanks, Brittany, for the presentation. Really informative. I have 3 quick questions. First, the big takeaway for me from this presentation was the sheer order of magnitude difference between the number of e-scooter rides and the bike rides, which I found surprising. So I guess I'm wondering, what's the thinking around that? Was that a surprise in terms of looking at the data, and what's the thinking in terms of what's driving that, and what does that mean for the next phase and our thinking about the project? I'm curious to know if we know anything about the frequent riders, the riders who've used the system more than 10 times and more than 20 times. Do we have any data that explains a little bit about who really are the frequent users and what kind of drives them to be using the system? I think that would be very interesting. We may not have that data at this point. And then finally, about the complaints. I thought there'd be more. I thought those numbers seemed kind of low. I was expecting higher complaint numbers, but what I noticed quickly looking at the trend as we looked at sort of the 3 time periods when we're looking at the complaints is that the complaints seem to decrease in frequency, but the time it took to resolve them got longer, even though the complaint frequencies were decreasing. So I'm wondering if you have any information about why that's happening. Has Bird looked at those numbers, and what does that mean? So I'll stop there.
Great, thanks, Roseanne. Great questions. When the data started coming in about, that e-scooters are being used a lot more than e-bikes, because we don't have like a base data to go off of. I mean, we have kind of our counter data that shows us ridership in certain bike lanes. We were kind of open to like, all right, now we've got this kind of, after the first 6 months, we've got this database now that shows us kind of a base point of like, okay, the e-scooters are being ridden a lot more. I think Bird Canada has their own research, and, I'm sure that it maybe wasn't a surprise for them because they operate in a lot of different cities. Factors for what are driving it, I can't say for sure. We do have that user survey, though, that Bird is doing, and it has quite a few of those questions. So it'll be interesting to see that data come back to understand, why people are using them. I guess in general research, e-scooters are less of a barrier. You don't have as much balance. You don't have to know how to ride a bicycle. Maybe that plays a factor. I really am not sure. Those are just kind of my thoughts on it. But I think once we get that survey data, it maybe will paint a little bit more of a picture for that.
And I think that the note that you made earlier about the duration times of the rides, the longer rides on the e-bikes, the shorter rides on the scooters might be playing into that as well.
It definitely it could be. As far as frequent riders, I think I'm going to answer that with the same question. Once we know the survey data, we'll have more information for are these people, using it to get to work every day, and maybe that's why they've got so many rides. Maybe they bought like kind of this monthly plan and they're using it as transportation commuting back to work, or to school or activities. I don't know. It'll be interesting to get that survey data for sure. And they'll share it with us, and then I will make sure that it's put into a report for council as well. Interesting that you brought up the complaints. I noticed that as well when we were looking at the data. So we were kind of looking into, why is time getting longer? It corresponds with when the service area grew. So as we grew out into the suburbs, that the time for when Bird gets the call, they action the team to go out, it's a further drive for them to get to the site and, fix it up, take out the e-scooters, take out the bike, or move parking. That's my assumption based on it, but I mean, we are digging a lot more into data, and I'm definitely, I meet with Bird every week to have conversations around complaints that are coming in, and we correspond with our compliance staff here as well. So again, that's me making an assumption, but I think maybe that's where it's lining up, is that the service area now has covered way more of the HRM. It's not just downtown anymore. But again, once I have some more information, I will be writing reports for council, and I will add in as much as we can take out of the data that we're getting in. Thanks.
Thanks.
You. Next is Glenn.
Okay, well, I won't really need the 5 minutes. I live well outside the service zone. To Peter's point about the last mile or last kilometer, I kind of wish I wasn't outside the service zone, because from the bus stop to my house is about 1 kilometer uphill, It'd be nice to have an e-bike to get up there. One possibility maybe why there's a lot more e-scooter rides is there's a lot more e-scooters. Probably easier to find an e-scooter than an e-bike. Beyond that, as somebody who's visually impaired, it still strikes me as funny that there is Braille on these devices, but I know that the number is there so they can call and report them if they get in the way. But I'm still shocked every time I hear there's Braille on one of these devices. So my only real question, I know when it was being rolled out, I do feel like the rollout, the implementation has been very professional and very smooth. As commented, there were a number of complaints have been quite low. I think part of that is because Bird looked at similar environments, similar cities, and what the challenges they had already experienced in those other cities. And so they had that advanced knowledge in terms of this rollout. So given that we're 6 months into it, I'm just wondering how our data compares to the data for rollouts in those other cities or any other cities where Bird has already rolled it out. Does it seem like we're on track? Does it seem like we're slow adopters, rapid adopters? Just wondering how we are doing compared to everyone else. Oh, and my other question is you did mention earlier that there were 2 injuries, and I was just wondering if those were riders who were injured or if somebody that was injured by a rider.
Great. Thanks, Glenn. For the first question there, how the data compares to other cities and, you know, how Bird rollouts have happened across the country. They're in 27 or so cities right now. That's a good question. I'm going to bring it up with them. I do know that they have reported, like I'm always checking in on ridership statistics. And I do know that at times Halifax for their market was consistently like top 3 for ridership numbers, which is good to see. Again, that's just across like Bird's markets. I don't know how that compares to, you know, all the different types of operators for systems that are in different municipalities across Canada. But it's something I'll definitely be looking into. It's a lot of data information and digging into that I will be doing over the winter. And that's a good statistic that I should look into as well. So thanks for bringing that up. For the injuries, because of confidentiality, I don't have the information now for what the injury detail had. I will look into that over the winter, see, you know, what privacy information, you know, we are able to get out of that to understand the extent of injuries. I'll mention too, we are constantly in contact with Nova Scotia Health. We're working with health promoters to and this is across departments, across HRM. I know the road safety department has been involved in conversation to understand injury data from shared micromobility, so from the pilot, but then also just from micromobility users in general, and how that information is coming in. I know it comes in through police reports. So that's something that it's an ongoing conversation. We're hoping that at some point we'll be able to gather more of that data in through, whether it be through the hospital, emergency rooms, or, you know, ambulatory care, ambulance, through ambulance and paramedic data. I don't have information right now, but I know that the municipality has been very interested in that, and Nova Scotia Health has been a close partner on trying to sort out that information. So maybe if someday I might have some more information for you, and if I do, I would happily share it with Active Transportation and Council as well.
Well, we're certainly not expecting any personal information. I'm just wondering about the impact on future training and public education.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Thanks, Glenn. Next is Milena.
Thank you. Hi, Brittany. That was a fantastic report. I'm going to address the statistics part. I think we can take the statistic complaints portion with a grain of salt, because I know from my colleagues, friends, people with disabilities, they're probably reporting 1 out of 7 incidents that they run across, because we're dealing with everything that's going on in the city right now. Construction signs left in the middle of sidewalks where it is illegal to do so at this point, traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So And I know of sighter friends who are reporting 2 out of 7. So I think we can take this with a grain of salt, and perhaps that only a quarter of complaints are actually being reported. But I'm happy to hear that Bird is has their statistics open to the public because it's concerned about that. I'm curious, Brittany, to you and with Bird, if anybody has listened to and that will share from 3 months ago what came across the current on CBC, the report that was released from Edmonton, where they have finished their pilot report, and the numbers are through the roof with injuries, double ridership, and this is for e-scooters. I have not had a problem with an e-bike. I find that the e-bike users are more respectful, given the fact we're living in HRM on the peninsula itself with all the universities. I've almost gotten hit in this summer because I haven't been out that much due to health, but since I've been out almost 3 times by e-scooter riders on the sidewalks. That is still happening. And I put in 1 complaint out of those 2 because I was just having a bad day. Okay, so I will share that report because what's happened in Edmonton after they've done their pilot, the numbers are very high for injuries. And I'm getting a little tired. This is a comment to everybody listening out there. I've been asking about reports from the medical system that if Edmonton can figure it out, I'm pretty certain that Halifax can figure out how to contact emergency room doctors to see what the injuries are happening. We don't need to know who it is or what it is. Last but not least, there are still sightings of kids with parents, no helmets on Bird. And I will make a comment to Peter. I adore you. I respect you. But e-scooters near transit is nothing but a complicated ordeal for people who are blind and partially sighted. We'd be running into them. If this is to happen, then please move them down the block so the person doing the first and last mile can walk, hopefully, 20 to 30 feet, because it's just a congestion zone for those of us who are looking for a bus stop, a bus shelter, who cannot see in this interference. So I don't have a problem with the e-bikes. They're being respectful. The e-scooters are still problematic. And Brittany, on you, thank you for putting in your report. That's a lot of hard work. And I guess my last question, well, first question and the only question to you will be, if this pilot project proceeds past its 2 years, how many e-scooters are we expected to see on the peninsula? I think they're needed out in the outskirts, 100,000%, but how many on the peninsula? Thank you. End of thought.
Thanks, Melina. All good feedback. I'm writing notes as you're speaking. The Edmonton injury data report, I did look at that, and it's definitely come up in conversations when we're talking with Nova Scotia Health. So again, I wish I had a bit more information on, if we're able to get those numbers from hospital data and emergency room data. When I know more, I will definitely update. If the pilot proceeds. So right now there is, in our agreement, it's like up to, and this was based on that readiness study saying, 1,500 devices or 1,500 e-bikes. The pilot allows for up to 750 and 750. So each time that Bird wants to increase that, though, we do have metrics in place. That is not to say that that will all be on the peninsula. That's across the entire service area. And I don't know if it will reach that number, or if, after 2 years, council needs to make a decision. And if an agreement changes, I'm not sure what the possibilities are at that point. I do know that the municipality has that recommendation report saying maximum, a 1,500 fleet at this is what was recommended back in 2000 and what was it?
Just coming up to 5 minutes now, Brittany.
2023 or so. So yeah, I don't have a number right now, but I do know that, if the pilot were to expand and all the metrics were being met, the devices could go up to a maximum of 750. Right now we're at 300 and 600.
Right. Okay, I thought we were at 600.
We're at 300 e-bikes right now and 600 e-scooters. Sorry,
Right,
yes, you were just referring to the e-scooters.
just
Sorry.
to the e-scooters, yeah, because I'd like to see a solid cap on those
All right.
Okay.
insects.
Just
Thank you.
Noted. Thank you.
5 minutes. Thanks, Mona. And thank you, everyone. Thanks, Brittany. A lot of my questions have been answered, and just for the interest of time, I won't ask anything else. And with that, actually, in the interest of time, we may need to just keep moving on. We still have plenty to get through tonight. So if that's all right with everyone, if you did have any more questions or comments for Brittany, I'm sure she'd be happy to receive them directly. Otherwise, feel free to pass them on to myself, Moana, or Olawumi, and we can pass them on to Brittany as well. But thank you again, Brittany. That was a great update. It's yeah, fantastic to hear how it's all going, and it sounds like it's going really well. Just echoing what everyone else said, the number of complaints is really heartening, hearteningly low. Sorry, but that's great. All right. With that, we'll move on to the next presentation. So I'd like to invite Emma Martin, Coordinator for Active Transportation Community Program, to give a presentation.
Good evening, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and do you also see my screen?
Yes, got the slides.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I will be presenting the active transportation grants as an overview and an awards reporting. So the AT Grants program was formed in 2019 to support trail associations who are planning, maintaining, building, and promoting active transportation. The MAP3 vision for a greenway and bike network that was developed through the AT Priorities Plan outlines with green lines the vision, and 65% of these lines are trails maintained by trail associations. And they are supported partially with funding from HRM through the AT grants. The administrative order 2020-011 ADM respecting HRM's grant programs for active transportation and recreational trails provides directions and the administrative steps to accept applications and to provide grants to these community associations. There are 5 streams for the AT grants program: capital recapitalization, emergency reinstatement, education, and promotions, and they are approved either through the capital budget, and the maintenance and operations is approved through the operational budget. All the details about the grants program is available online, and you can see all the applications, the terms and conditions, and timelines on the website. Typical annual budget for this grant has been between $650,000 and $1 million, as approved by Regional Council through the capital budget and the operations. The AT capital grants are awarded to either plan, build, or develop new infrastructure or bring in amenities that are increasing the experience of the users. The AT recapitalization grants are those grants awarded to reinstate the infrastructure at a good condition as a result of wear and tear, or to upgrade a facility to become more accessible. The AT maintenance grants and operations are associated with those grants to maintain the trails already built, and also to support the organizations with administrative costs such as insurance costs and other associated with training associated with maintaining trails. The AT Education and Promotion grants are associated to assist active transportation objectives that the municipality identified within the AT Priorities Plan, and are supporting projects organized by community associations in various ways: safety programs, educational skills, training, community-based AT Priorities Plan, etiquette programs, and so on and so forth. AT Emergency Repairs are grants that are provided to support the trail associations in case of emergency as a result of flood or other failures that are happening during the fiscal year where the capital or recapitalization grants have already been awarded. I will walk you through some of the more prominent projects. And then I will just show you the awards in tables, but I won't go over them as they are available on the presentation. So the Atlantic View Trail Association was awarded a project to reinstate the trail width, regrade, and resurface sections of the corridor, and also to provide mandatory bridge inspections as per the requirements of the letter of authority. Blueberry Run has been reinstated by the Marine Riders Trail Association. They have been working for the past 3 years, had a construction plan, and then started reinstating the surface by clearing it out, regrading, and resurfacing various sections, and it's expected to be completed except for the causeway by next year. Oops, I think I lost the presentation. Just 1 second here. Okay. Next is the First Lake Glen Sloan White Trail. The Friends of First Lake Society were awarded recapitalization grant to reinstate the HRM section of the owned section of the trail within the First Lake system. And as a first phase, they have replaced the bridge. The next project was by Seda Trail Society in the Gatesbrook Greenway. They did embankment stabilization, bridge improvements, and they are continuing to look at reinstating the trail surface in the next year. Musquodoboit Trailway Association was also awarded a grant to do vegetation removal, drainage resurfacing, replace amenities, and such as benches, and also do bridge culverts and inspections. On the map 3 vision of a greenway and bike network, the projects are roughly highlighted with this maroon purplish lines. And so majority of the projects were done within the eastern shore of the province, and also up north where the First Lake Trail is. So the total awarded in 2024-2025 was $544,930. In 2024, the capital and recapitalization grants And in 2025-2026, total awarded grants were $333,487. In terms of timelines, for the next fiscal year, we have received already the capital grants proposals and reviewed them. They are being recommended through the capital budget, and they will be approved by the regional council at the same time when the capital budget is approved in 2026. Active Transportation Maintenance and Operations Grants has a fairly set budget of $126,000. We have received and approved awards in 2024 for $107,410, and in 2025-2026, $95,305. The remaining funds up to the $126,000 are used to support maintenance on those corridors that are owned by the municipality that were initiated by trail associations who have not had capacity to maintain anymore and have either filed or terminated their license agreement with HRM, and HRM has taken over their maintenance. For 2026-2027, we are expecting to launch the request for proposals through the grants in February and have a deadline on March 27, and the awards would be released to the trail associations after the regional council approves the operational budget in May, June. The Active Transportation Education and Promotion grants are awarded at 3 levels. First level for small community projects under 1,000. Those are typically localized small projects in 1 or more communities in HRM. Large community projects with grants between $1,001 and $5,000 and up to 50% of those project costs. For a larger project or event requiring significant logistic efforts meant to reach a broader audience from multiple communities within HRM. Major project grants over $5,001. Those are significant projects. They cannot be a one-time event, and they have partnership and duration efforts typically tend to be over 6 months up to a year. And as I mentioned, the projects may include safety and skills training, promotion and marketing programs, AT education, transportation demand management, and other AT-related events. So in the same nature, we have funded various projects, either small, large, or one-time events. The BLT Rails to Trail Association, in partnership with Cycling Nova Scotia, have run Share the BLT campaign, and also Cycling Nova Scotia on their own in 2024 also had a Share the BLT campaign, Share the Trail campaign on the Chain of Lakes Trail. The Deanery Project has reinstated the Bike Hub program, have started initially with reinstating the storage where they do repairs for bikes, and then started doing winter cycling workshops and promoting safety, bicycle safety training to communities within their area and also to schools within the Gatesbrook area. The DAL track was funded also 2 years in a row for their Share the Road program. In the first year, they designed all the materials and they started partnering with various community organizations and also partnering with the Supernova Camp to get students involved in active transportation and teach them rules of the road and making sure they're safe. In Lucasville, Lucasville Greenway Society has yearly organized an annual walk on Lucasville Road and a fun day to promote active transportation and create awareness of the need for safe active transportation in their community. SETA Trail Society has been organizing a Halloween trick-or-treat walk on the Gatesbrook Greenway for a number of years, and HRM has supported them with organizing the event, with funding to organize the event. And Halifax Cycling Coalition has organized also on Gatesbrook Kitty Call Mass. The Northeast Business Association was funded with the AT Education and Promotion grants to organize the Agricola Street Holiday Market, and actually they are scheduled to have this event on Sunday, November 23rd. So there's an opportunity for you to participate. So in 2024-2025, the total awarded was $49,795, and in 2025-2026, total awarded was $37,500. Some of these projects have been completed and some are still underway. Okay. In terms of timelines for 2026-2027, February 16th will be the date to launch the Spring-Summer AT Education and Promotion Grants intake, with an expected deadline on April 13th for projects expected to start after May 15th. And a second round of intake would be launched on August 10th with the deadline on September 27th, 2026 for projects expected to start on October 15th. The program includes also recreational trails grants as part of the administrative order. The recreational trails are those trails who are not connecting destinations the same way that the active transportation do. Recreational trails are those trails who might be a loop around a lake that is starting from an active transportation corridor. It could be a wilderness park trail that is starting off the active transportation, such as the Bluff Wilderness Trail, the Musquedabbit Wilderness Trails. Also, they could be just a destination recreational trail that is starting near a rec center or other municipality-owned community service location. The Recreational Trails Grants Program can also be looked up online. And 3 projects have been awarded in 2024-2025, totaling $70,000. No awards were awarded in 2025-2026. In terms of recreational trails, there are, as I mentioned, a lot of recreational trails that are maintained that start off either from an active transportation trail or from a community service building. There were awarded 49,000 in 2024-2025 and 51,500 in 2025-2026. Another program that is funded is the Downtown Dartmouth Ice Festival, and that will be in January 30th to February 1st in 2026. And hopefully you'll make it there and enjoy an open street event where you can walk and cycle on the roads and enjoy a walkable downtown in Dartmouth. If you'd like to be in touch with our office, this is my contact information. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Emma. Thanks for the update. It's great to see the amount of money that's being handed out to trail associations from HRM. Appreciate the updates. Moving to the questions, just again, in the interest of time, rather than going through the roll with 5 minutes each, I'm just going to throw it open to everyone for a 3-minute block. If you do have questions or comments, just raise your hand and we'll go to you first. All right, Holly?
Find the unmute button. We really need to get the active transportation corridors and the trails connected together. Biggest roadblock we've had for decades now is Woodside Ferry Terminal to Harborfront Trail up to the Shearwater Flyer through Woodside. And there are too numerous examples throughout the HRM to go into in this short period of time, but we need to get everything connected, whether it's a park, whether it's a trail, whether it's an AT corridor. And in the interest of time, I'm going to leave it there. I'm complaining again. Thank you.
You're welcome. I can respond to Holly. Thank you for your question. I'm not sure if also Mark will provide information about the project, but the municipality is looking at connecting the Woodside Ferry Terminal to Shearwater Flyer. There is already a functional planning project undergoing, and there are various studies done within the corridor, and we are hoping that it will be built. Oh, you're on mute.
Thanks, Emma. Well, that functional planning project, as Emma mentioned, is a project that transitioned over to my team with strategic infrastructure and transportation planning with the departure of Dave McIsaac from Public Works. So he did advance that plan, the functional plan. So that's 30% design, almost to completion. There's still a little bit of work to do, plus a recommendation report to bring to council, and we have to find capacity now on our team to get that project to the finish line. So, and hopefully that's something we'll be able to focus on in the new year. but I don't have a hard and fast timeline to share with you at this point, unfortunately.
Thank you, Mark, for jumping in. Thanks for the question and comments, Holly. John, Councillor John Young, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Hi, Emma, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good. I'm going to talk about the Lucasville Greenway and the Lucasville Greenway Society. It has been a part of the AT plan since 2017. They've been working on it since 2015. They've had 2 designer, engineer companies working on it. It's a 30% functional plan. The community itself is 198 years old. In 2 years, it'll be celebrating its 200th anniversary. And we're hoping that at least a portion of that greenway would be started before then. So I'm looking for a status update on that. I know we're waiting for an area rate decision for you guys to come out and just redo that. But I'm just wondering on the priority end, is that going to make the priority of at least the next year and for the upcoming budget for 2027 to have that included on there so we can get this done for the bicentennial? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Young. So we are currently working towards launching the engagement phase 2 as per direction from the Regional Council to determine whether the community is supportive to have the greenway built, to have the area rate, the new area rate of 0.021 per 100,000 of taxable property value added to the property taxes after the substantial completion of the corridor. If the community is supporting the project, the area rate, then we are ready to take the current functional plan and 30% design and fund and complete the designs for the corridor to 90% and develop the tender, the construction tender within the 26-27 fiscal year, and work with the utility companies, work with the property owners impacted by the project. There will be ditching and infill and other specifics that will be impacted either in front of the property line or on the property. And once all the details are completed, then we can schedule construction. We are hoping to have construction in 2027. At this time, we can confirm 100% that it will start before the celebrations. We want to make sure that if construction is started before the celebration, that it's also completed before the celebration. So the community is not in a construction zone when celebrations happen. So as we approach the end of the tender construction and we have all the mitigations done, we will be able to confirm a more accurate construction date. And we'll be working with the community to make sure that it's not scheduled and impacting negatively the community celebrations.
Okay, thank you. I just want to add one more thing, Nathan, that because there is allocated the $7 million from the federal government allocated for this project. So
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, because so it's not just from the municipalities. So I just want to
No.
mention that.
So the federal government ICIP funding is up to 73% of
Just
the
coming up to
of the costs of $7 million that is currently estimated. So it's not 7 million; it is up to 73% of the 7 million.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Just at 5 minutes, so perfect
Sorry.
timing. Thank you. Stephanie, you've got your hand up as well.
Yes, I just have a quick question. It's less about a project, more just about the sort of the grants in general. I'm wondering about the AT emergency grants that you were mentioning. And I'm just curious, if the funds don't get used up annually, do they get redistributed to the other sort of the other funding streams that are options for grants, or does it get moved over to the next year? Or yeah, I'm just curious how that would work.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. So the way that it works, if the funds are not, any of the funds, if they are not awarded, they will be redistributed within the capital budget for other projects. The AT education and promotion and the emergency grants are about 100,000 every year. So we're not holding on to the funds if the funds have not been awarded, but we're using them in the year for other capital projects. If the projects are awarded, pending on the completion date, they could be rolled over in the new capital budget.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Were there any other questions or comments for Emma? Great. Okay. Well, thank you again, Emma, for the update and for your time. Very much appreciated.
You're welcome.
All right. So we actually only have about 10 minutes of our scheduled meeting left. So not wanting to go over time, I wonder if it might be a better option, because we do have one more point to go through our schedule for next year. If the updates from Mark and Nina, if that might be better off being sent to all committee members as an email or shared as a document. Would that be acceptable to everyone? Or if there's any burning questions anyone has for Mark, we can squeeze in a couple of minutes for that. I think I'm seeing some nods of agreement there. Mark, sorry to have kept you on the line for the whole time. To do it. Would that be okay with you to produce just a few notes of your updates for this meeting to share with committee members?
Sure, that's fine with me. Thanks.
Perfect. And Oluwumi, if we could get your help sharing that with committee members with the minutes for this meeting, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I will do that, and it will also be posted on the website.
Great, thank you. All right. So then moving on to our proposed meeting schedule for 2026. So this is our last meeting for this year, so we do need to confirm the schedule. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to go over the proposed schedule. Are there any concerns, any questions or comments anyone would like to make regarding next year's schedule? Okay, maybe this was going to be a bit quicker than I expected. Just to add a note there too, if you have had a chance to look at the schedule, there is a comment that our meetings can be held obviously virtually or in person at Halifax Hall. I know obviously there may not suit everyone, and we don't need to decide now. I think it would be a good idea maybe if we held our April meeting next year in person when we vote for new chair and vice chair, but we can discuss that further in our first meeting next year. But with that, could I have would anyone like to call a motion that the proposed schedule for 2026 be approved?
Malena does.
Thank
I'll
you,
second.
Malena. Second, thank you. So all in favour, please say aye.
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 And all opposed, say nay. Perfect. Motion's carried. Fantastic. Well, again, apologies. That went a little quicker than I thought. So unless there were any, this is our last meeting. So are there any comments anyone would like to raise just before we wrap up?
This is Malena talking. I wouldn't mind, Mark, well, I know you're with us still. If you wouldn't mind just giving us your top thing on your list in your staff report, just for the public to hear as well. Top two. You want to go?
Yeah, sure thing.
Thank you.
I think probably the most top priority and kind of most timely is an update about the North End Complete Streets project. This is a planning project that Anders Turum is leading. He's one of the AT planners on my team. And they are preparing to launch their first round of public engagement actually starting next week. So there's two events that are planned. The first event will be held at the George Dixon Center on November the 28th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And the second event is, and I think it's a repeat. It's the same format, sort of same topic, kind of as the first, same introductory session as the first one, and that's going to be hosted at Wonderneath on December the 4th from 3:30 to 5:30. There will be more information available about this project on the Engage Halifax website. Hopefully tomorrow the page will go up, if not by Monday. So if you go to the Engage Halifax site and search for North End Complete Streets, you'll find a description of the project and the details about the upcoming engagement. And so and then I guess number two is an update on the Almond Street Bikeway planning project. So this is a project that's looking at that final segment between Agricola and Gottingen Street, and how we could provide an all ages and abilities connection to connect from the end of the Agricola of the Almond Street Bikeway to the priority is to connect to the north-south bikeway on Isleville. This is a project being led by Catherine McClellan. She had originally planned to launch some engagement late this year, but we've decided to push that until early in the new year. So stay tuned for more information about some engagement events for that project that'll probably be hosted in January or February. How's that? We still have 5 minutes left. What do we do with all this time?
Spoiled for time.
Finish early.
Turns out, yeah. Well, yeah. Unless you've got another point, we could call it there.
Nothing terribly pressing.
Okay.
I'll just include it in the written update.
And
well, actually,
Malena...
sorry, Emma. I'm sorry. I was going to pass it off to Emma because she actually does have one or two other updates from the Public Works team. I don't know if Emma, you want to share anything in the last
Sure.
4 minutes.
Yep. So the first one is we have just started working on an active school travel program. And as a first step, we have opened a request for proposal to hire a consultant to do a baseline study to determine the current conditions and develop some recommendations to inform the new program. The deadline, the closing date for this request for proposal is November 28th at 2 p.m. And we're looking forward to start working towards implementing an active school travel formal program within the municipality. My second update is, and it's related also to Holly's comment about connectivity, is we are working towards launching another request for proposal to hire a consultant to look at developing a functional plan and 30% design for 2 gaps within the Eastern Shore connections. One is between the Highway 107 to from Gatesbrook, from Blueberry Run at Highway 107 to Gatesbrook Greenway, and one from Gatesbrook Greenway to the future Little River Greenway in Musquodoboit Harbor. We are finalizing the scope and all the details. So I don't have a date right now, but I thought that's exciting news because it's also 2 segments that need to be completed.
Great. Thank you, Emma. Yes, that is exciting to hear those trails. The plan for getting them connected is underway. All right. Well, that now brings us to the end of the meeting. So our final ATAC meeting for 2025. So thank you to all our committee members, to our new members as well. Thank you to Councillor John Young for joining our meetings, Mark Nina for all the staff updates, and to all our presenters tonight. So to wrap things up, I'd like to call for a motion to bring today's meeting to an end.
I so move.
We'd also like to thank Olawumi, our captain at the helm, for keeping us all intact.
Thank you, Milena. Thank you, Olawumi.
Thank you.
Right.
You have a wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate. We'll see you in the new year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hey, bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.